Welcome back to another video. In the last video, I went over what the ego mind is and how it is the root of all evil. In this video, we're going to talk about a word you've probably heard people talk about. You've heard people use this word, and they are using it in complete oblivion. And that is, what is an NPC? In video game terms, an NPC is a non-playable character with only specific dialogue to further your gaming experience as the main character. So, what does this have to do with human beings? Of course, there are many NPCs on this planet. I'd humbly even say about 90% of humans are NPCs. But not like a video game. In a video game, it is just programming. In reality, we use the word NPC for other humans, but it's more on the level of consciousness. If someone has very low consciousness and is living in a lot of oblivion, then we could just say it as a funny joke that they are an NPC. There are a lot of factors that tie in to humans being NPCs. I think one of the biggest one would be the educational system. As young children, we are forced to learn many subjects that really don't get us anywhere in life. Yes, these subjects will help us get a little smarter, and some are necessary. Well, actually, all of them are necessary, like mathematics, English, science, and even a little bit of history. But just the basics, so you are a functional human being. But then schools start teaching more and more advanced things that is just a waste of knowledge, when what we should be learning is what we love to do in life. But there's no other option, because you need to have good A's to go on to the next education building, college, high school. Your parents force you to have good grades, good letters, if you may. And you just fall into a deeper and deeper hole of not understanding anything. And on top of that, you get implanted into your brain that, oh, if you have A's and B's, then you are intelligent. But you're not. You're just memorizing things and putting it back on paper. Of course, if you have all A's compared to someone that has all F's, yes, you are a little bit more intelligent, but intelligence is mainly having knowledge in your brain and using it to the best of your ability, using your common sense to actually benefit from the knowledge. And yeah, another fact about why school is a big problem is that it just tires you out. Most people just have enough. They finish high school or college and they're done. They don't want to learn anymore because they just assume, yeah, I mean, I learned all this for 12 years. It's time to move on. But that is the worst thing you can do, because after 5 years of not learning anything new and just living life pretty stagnantly, your brain starts to stagnate. And because of that, you start thinking in one certain way. It's harder to think of new things. Life just kind of becomes boring. When most people are stuck in that because money is a huge issue. Money is a horrendous issue in this new society, and the elites of this world know exactly that, and they are abusing us to the max. I think another good factor of what makes people NPCs is the food we put in our body. Because the saying, we are what we eat, is way too true. It's exactly true because we started off as 5 to 8 pound baby, and we just kept eating and kept eating, and look at you now. You're a fully grown human that can process reality on your own. But the food that we have in the modern world is poison. All of these soybean oils, processed garbage, chemicals to make food last longer. Yeah, it's okay to eat a couple times, but most people have made that their diet. Because, of course, this leads back to money, and real food with real nutrients, it costs too much. That's an issue, and they don't teach how to make money in school. That's on purpose because the schools are all owned by a college board, and guess who that's owned by? It's all a big circus. Let's move into the third factor that makes you an NPC. That would be social media. You can just look around you, look at the people, even yourself, just scrolling mindlessly, sometimes for hours. I knew I had this problem. You know, you're not the only one. There's many people, even me talking. I had this problem a couple months ago, but it's a trap. It's just a trap because it's easier for your human monkey brain to just scroll endlessly, and it's easier for it to release dopamine and just have constant entertainment. But you're never going to grow like that. You're just sitting in a box, sitting in a hole, and that's pretty much it. You need to wake up and notice that social media is pretty bad for you. But of course, with anything that's bad, there usually might be a good. Social media is great for education, for wealth creation. You can make beautiful content to show other people and make good money off it. You can do anything, even recording your dog doing funny things. If you put enough effort into it, put enough elbow grease, then you can make good money. But most people are too lazy and they don't know any better. Just the worst thing is about social media is these damn algorithms. They are programmed to know you better than you know yourself. They recommend certain things by listening to you. They have permission into your search history. It's awful. And even like modern women, for example, they'll see a post of this beautiful model, and their ego will beat them up because they're not as pretty. But usually that model on Instagram is very photoshopped, tons of makeup, probably tons of pictures taken before that picture. So it's not real. It's fake. It's very fake. Now let's get into a little bit about human psychology and how social media companies abuse our human psychology with certain colors, especially the color red. Red puts our brain into a more panicked state a little bit because it's the color of blood. It's not the nicest color there is. Just those three factors alone can definitely change your perspective on life. And this factor is going to be a bit controversial. Feel free just to have a civil conversation in the comments. But this factor would be religion. There's religions, they can be good, they can be bad. It really depends on how to use it. But there's been so many people that killed, murdered, raped, kidnapped, done so many malevolent things as humans, and then try to repent themselves to some exoteric god, and then think it's all okay. No, it's honestly a joke. I don't know much about other religions. I grew up Christian, and for a long time of my life, I was Christian. I believed in heaven and hell. But always at the back of my mind, I was like, that doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem right at all. So I started learning more and more about Christianity, going deeper into the history that the Bible would never have, and they were evil. The origin, like the highest powers in the Christian churches, they were evil. They would murder people if they didn't believe in their religion. In older times in France, they would put X's on people's doors if they heard them talking about not believing in Christianity, and then they would come back later at night during another day and murder them to death. It was awful what they did, and they got away with it. And then they changed the Bible, and they convinced you that all the Bible has all the answers, but it doesn't. Even they were evil enough, or there was this guy actually in the 1300s, I think his name was Emperor Justine. He removed the idea of a soul being in the Bible, so that could just give him the excuse, give his army the excuse to murder a bunch of people. They got away with it, of course. Even just think about heaven and hell. Like it's just a fairy tale. Just some loving God that wants the best for humans would allow such a place to burn for eternity. It doesn't add up. Heaven and hell were just created by the same people that murdered the rest of those people just so they can manipulate them. If you were doing bad things, they would just manipulate you until like, oh, if you do this more and more, you're gonna burn for eternity. And they did a pretty good job. Just look at how many people believe it. A big prophet from Christianity was Jesus, of course. A lot of his teachings were taken and absolutely distorted. Because what Jesus was just a master spirit that was very closely connected to God and wanted to come here and help humanity. But humans, being the narcissistic monkeys they are, killed him for it. Even his very famous dinner he had, pouring wine and bread. It wasn't wine and bread at all. It was made up. If the bread was just it was a psychedelic mushroom that was long in length. It was dried out, and it looked like bread from a distance. The wine was a sacred brew that was made from the Amanita muscarita, or I think it's actually Amanita muscaria mushroom. It's the red mushroom with white little dots on it, and it's renowned as to be poisonous. But if you make it in a specific way, it turns into a psychedelic brew that's powerful enough to kill you. This is what Jesus did. He killed his disciples. What he killed, though, was their ego. Boom. His followers, his disciples, were pretty enlightened. But as more and more people started following them, they didn't have that ego death experience. So their ego was still having major control over them. And this brings me into the last factor, that most humans, these NPCs mostly, they only identify with their body and the mind. And it's nowhere true. When the ego has you completely convinced, you will have a more miserable life. But if you identify with the soul, you have infinite freedom. Because you realize you are everything and nothing. And it's a difficult realization, but it's within all of us. People talk about, oh, you must get enlightened. But the light, it's in you. You just need to realize it. So, what's the point of the human body? It's just here to learn lessons, to feel pain, to suffer, so we grow further and further. We knew that this is what life is going to be like. We agreed to forget our previous memories so we can grow. This is all part of the process. The ego, it will absolutely shatter you once it starts thinking about death, because the ego, it was born in this incarnation and all it knows is this incarnation. It'll never know any better, and it just dies. It'll be over for it. Well, I have a little exercise for you, just a simple meditation to realize your true identity. Just find a very comfortable spot, anywhere. Could be in nature, by a lake, at home, on a couch, on your bed, anywhere. Sit up straight, fold your legs in, crisscross applesauce, like they do in school, and just gently close your eyes and just let your thoughts free. Do not try to just have an empty mind. When a thought starts appearing, do not engage with it. Just let it think itself out. And you want to be like a bird, just watching that thought, just being fully aware of it, but not treating that thought as you. Just some kind of, I guess, if you want to compare it to a video game, some kind of tip, like a tip bubble you receive. Just ignore it completely. And that awareness of those thoughts, that is your higher self. Just being completely aware of everything. And that would be the start of something huge. Thank you for listening to this video. Of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at divinemonkey.net. Even on Instagram, it is divine_monkey_. They wouldn't let me get anything else. And remember, have a wonderful life. And you are the creator of your reality. Nobody else. Peace out.